In today's video, we are talking about 7 dieting skills that can make weight loss easier. The skills are going to be flexibility, environment, food choices, macros, timing, portions, and tracking. We want to treat this like learning to ride a bicycle. It's a skill. Dieting for weight loss is a skill, and these are the components that can make it easier. So for a bicycle, that would be balance to begin with, then steering, and then eventually pedaling. When you put those things together, you're much better at riding a bike, and then you can improve your skills and make things easier. And making things easy is absolutely the whole game, because you need to control your energy, how much energy you're putting in your mouth over serious periods to really lose weight and keep it off. Let's start with flexibility. Lots of people have these false rules that they put in their mind about what they can eat, when they can eat it, how much they can eat, on which days, and at the end of the day, fundamentally, it comes down to how much energy you eat, and it doesn't need to be how much energy, how many calories you eat today, or tomorrow, or even this week, or even next month. It's really about what you do on the horizon. I'll give you a really kind of silly example to blow it right out, to kind of break you out of the short-term mindset. The average American eats 1 million calories each year, and they'll freak out on their diet if they, eat a pizza and gain a couple of pounds or whatever, but that's not what it's about. They eat 1 million calories each year. If they were to eat 800,000 calories instead, then come Thanksgiving they'd be about 30 pounds lighter. And there is a lot of room to have very sociable days and then diet hard and then have big weekends and have lots of social events if you take a flexible approach. There is no need to always nail everything all the time, because it's antisocial, it's a pain. Next up is environment. You can hack your environment to make your life easier. There's a great academic called Brian Wansink who really specializes in this, but generally, really simple idea. Make it easier to eat filling foods that help with your goals, and make it harder to eat kind of hyper-palatable foods that will just cause you to stuff your face. So, keep junk food out of your line of sight. You can clear out your kitchen so that it helps you achieve your goals. Change the size of your plates, have water more readily available, lots of environmental hacks to make life easier on yourself. Third up is food choices. At FitFolk, we use something called the filling food plate, which is just a one symbol. I'll put a link to it below. It's a one simple diagram plate that suggests which type of foods you should use to help keep you full. You can eat, junk food. You can nail your macros with junk food and it's fine, but it won't necessarily keep you full, and it won't always make you feel great. So people still tend to eat mostly whole foods because they really help. We use these ones: lean proteins, colorful veggies, natural fats, so naturally occurring fats as opposed to lots of processed fats because you tend to eat them more. Watery carbs. Carbs are not the devil. If you're active and you're doing sport or you're lifting or, just for your brain, 100 grams of carbs, that's just for your brain. The better choices tend to be, in terms of keeping you full, are watery ones. So ones that have a lot of moisture content, a lot of fiber. So we're talking about oatmeal, rice, boiled potatoes. These type of things will keep you full. And then juicy fruit. Fruit also gets a bad rap, but sometimes the fructose can go into your system and send a satiety signal to your brain. So it's not always bad, particularly kind of low calorie things like berries. Next up, we have macros. This is not tracking macros. We're talking about using macros to keep yourself full. For the general person, a pretty simple way to think about it is to eat more protein. That's because it's so filling, and to spread that protein across the meals rather than just have it all at dinner. So particularly just try adding protein for breakfast, for example. To eat better fats, so more natural fats really kind of help you out, help keep you full. And then to eat fewer carbs without becoming kind of a carb phobe. You don't want to go there. You don't want to be the person that goes into the Thai restaurant and won't eat rice. But lower your carbs, because lots of people eat carbs like they're an endurance athlete, and if you're trying to control your calorie intake, you don't need all those carbs. You can swap some of them out for starchy vegetables. Fibrous vegetables. Now, timing, the fifth one. I'll give you a really simple example. lots of people struggle with high meal frequencies. So they're trying to control what they're eating 5 or 6 meals a day, like kind of old school. And then when they switch to, say, intermittent fasting or 2 meals or 3 meals, they just find it so much easier to control their hunger. Now, I don't think it needs to be 6 meals or 2 meals. That's a really common thing, is to go from 6 meals to 2 meals and then something in the middle. But lots of people will find it easier to control what they're eating if they have a rhythm, if they have a routine. And that might be 3 square meals, so breakfast, lunch and dinner, or it might be breakfast, lunch, dinner and dessert, I like that. 5 meals, which is the 3 main meals and 2 snacks, or, some people just do much better with fasting. So they, disappear breakfast, eat in a window, and they do really well like that. The point is finding a timing, finding a meal pattern that works for you. 6, portions. Portion sizing, portion size methods, like a classic one where you use a palm full of protein and then a cup full of veggies, a thumb of fat, something like that, a fist of carbs. That is just a really great shortcut for social occasions. So, you don't want to go out to a restaurant and end up on MyFitnessPal. It's just tragic, isn't it? So, having some type of workaround when you're in a social situation is just really useful. And then finally, tracking. Now, tracking's really interesting. All the leanest people in the world track their macros. It's just how it is. It's the most efficient way to get lean. But, it comes with a cost. You become very analytical about food, and if you're obsessive, it can be really, really kind of detrimental to your relationship with food. That said, I think there are 3 times when it's really beneficial to track either your macros or your calories. The first one is when you're starting out a diet. So just for a couple of weeks, getting your idea of maintenance so you can set your calories well or set your macros well is really useful. So a couple of weeks before you start, know where your maintenance is, set up your diet really well. That's just perfect. Another time when I think tracking is wonderful is when you get stuck. People kind of lose their mind and they're just cutting carbs, or they're just doing, some type of number of meals or this and that, but they're just flailing around in the dark. And if you get stuck, track what you eat, and it can really, really help you out, because it can automatically, quite quickly, tell you what's going on and whether you just need to cut deeper or whether you're kind of stuck and you might need a diet break. But tracking will enlighten you when you're really struggling, and sometimes it's just easier than struggling forward. And then thirdly is if you're serious. So I've got start, stuck, and serious. And serious is, if you're a man and you want to get below 10% body fat, or if you're a woman and you want to get below 20% body fat, like really ripped, like not anywhere I really want to go. But, you just got to pay the price. You've just got to ante up and get serious. And that means tracking your macros and, lifting heavy things and being really serious about your diet, because otherwise it's just too hard. Like, there is a reason why all the leanest people in the world are tracking their macros, and that's because it works. It gives you something to adjust. It helps you see the way forward. Now, that's the 7 skills. And I just want to kind of, think about when you start out, what the idea is to get better at each of these things. So when you start out, you may be inflexible, you may not know how to track, you could have a reasonable environment, bad food choices, decent macros, who knows, you could be stuck in here. That's your kind of skill level. So, if you practice and get better over time, you can improve your environment, right? So you can come out here, you have a better environment for learning to eat. You can become more flexible, you can track occasionally, you can have a really good portion size system for when you're socializing, you can work out that actually rather than 5 meals, you're much better on 3 meals, so you've worked out that. You get a better macro balance, so you start to learn whether you do higher, like if you feel better on more carbs or on more fat. And then you make better food choices, and you put that together, and you've just got a lot more skills to work with, and it makes losing weight easier. And, the idea that, it's just about counting calories. No, controlling calories is very little to do with counting sometimes. It's about having a good environment and having a decent mindset and knowing what you're doing with your macros to keep yourself full and making some good food choices. These are skills. These are skills, and the more skillful you become, the much easier it is to lose weight. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you jump on the email list and get our 5 simple strategies to start losing weight cheat sheet.